people need more of are very simple equations.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very simple equation that you can use to have the right environment to help me realize the salt of life.
Hi, good morning, and thank you for tuning into Your Come Up. Where on Your Come Up, we talk about all topics to help you come up: business, finance, personal, spiritual, and physical. Today, we're going to have a conversation with the co-founder of Bookthinkers, Ryan Mannion from Colombia. I had to get him out the beach today. And this is your first time here? Thank you for watching. How you doing today, Ryan?
Nathan, it's always a pleasure, man. It's always a pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
No.
And I'm not from Colombia, but you may think so because I do have a Colombian haircut these days.
And your Colombian accent gave it away.
What happens when you spend 2 months down here? You pick it up.
Well, thanks for tuning. I'm just going to ask you a couple questions. You know, seeing that Bookthinkers is all about personal development, so this is going to be a personal development episode today. How does one overcome confidence, or overcome fear and gain confidence, whether they're starting a new venture, whether it's going in through a job interview or asking that girl out for a date, whatever the case may be? It's all confidence and overcoming it. What tips can you shed on overcoming fear and gaining confidence?
Confidence is a muscle, right? So the more that you rest that muscle, the more that muscle becomes stronger. I had a unique experience when I was in college. A pretty girl passed me and I didn't say hello. I was very, very shy and respectful growing up. And it just happened to be that unique situation where I said to myself, college can go one of two ways. I can either communicate with everybody or communicate with nobody. And that's a very different college experience. In the middle is awkward. I made the decision at that point to go from shy to ultimately I had a long career in sales and a successful career in sales. But I think looking back on it, what you realize is that confidence is literally a muscle. Like you have to take that first step to decide to dive into your fears and to dive into, communicating more, whatever that may be. But once you start taking those steps and hopefully you have a good environment that mentors you and pushes you forward, because a lot of it is environment. You take that step, you build your environment, and then it just becomes second nature. So I had the confidence, right, to quit a high-paying job and become an entrepreneur making no money for the last 18 months. I barely made anything. But, speaking of Colombia, my business partner came down here. I've always wanted to come down here. I grew up sheltered. Eventually, I said, you know what? I'm going to Colombia, man. I was so scared. Honestly, I was fearful to go to Colombia.
Right.
But it's a beautiful place. There's beautiful people. I'm now living on the beach. I've met some of the most awesome people that I've ever met. When you travel, you start to people see you. It's like, there's that gringo, and there really aren't many in Cartagena, Colombia. It's a relatively small city.
Oh, they can buy your Colombian accent?
Nah, people want to engage you, So, yeah, the way to get over fear is to dive head first through it. And the only last thing I'll share is I've been blessed to have a few mentors in my life, Evan Carmichael and Joel Neeb. I built those mentorships. I built it by reaching out to them, engaging them, and their two biggest philosophies are, on the other side of fear is your best life, basically. And so from that, I've just started diving into it. Evan says, if you're fearful, if you're scared, anxious, or afraid, that's an indicator that you got to go do that thing. And that's how I live my life now.
Not so much, kind of similar to the mountain quote, where to me, I'm always curious, okay, well, there's a mountain here, but what's on the other side of that mountain? You got to be willing to do things that others aren't willing to do in order to get what you want. First and foremost, like you said, it's a muscle. The more you go to the gym, the more you got that flex. And also, the more times you go to the gym, the more of those Lululemon girls you see wearing those Lululemon spandex. That, for me, that's motivation. And also for me, if you're not sure if it's going to work out, I'd rather just say better an oops than a what if, because there's time you can never get back. You can always recoup, you can always regroup, recalibrate, but you never want to go 30 years from now wondering what if, because life has, who knows what will happen by that time.
Yeah, I went from the shyest kid in high school to that one moment to then a super successful sales career where I learned how to build relationships to now an entrepreneur because of how I communicate, so it's but if you frame it from a very simple question, are you afraid? Are you afraid or fearful or anxious?
Yep.
If the answer is yes, you do it. Like, what people need more of are very simple equations. That's a very simple equation that you can use to step outside of your comfort zone.
You said you were a career guy. You went from probably a good, great paid career to starting a business and rolling the dice, and you're still writing the chapter on it, but from the looks of it, you're gaining momentum there, to say the very least.
Oh yeah.
In your opinion, what's the biggest career mistake one should avoid?
I think the biggest career mistake one should avoid is not having the courage to do what they want to do. I don't want to make this too much of a tangent, but I got to share this. You come down to Colombia, I was in Argentina last year. They don't have the resources that like an American has.
Okay.
Our business coach is from South Africa. He tells us all the time, and we need this perspective. Like, I need this perspective consistently. And he says, you guys won the genetic lottery, and it's because you live in America. Like, you have an abundance of resources. And I don't think people really recognize that. And all I think about is, like, the only thing holding back someone that lives in America who has an abundance of resources is their mindset. It's all in their mindset. My stepfather's the brightest guy on the planet, and he gets shackled to this job where he has to work so hard for 60 hours a week at the age of 65 because his mindset is limited. I hope he'll probably see this one day and he'll agree with it. It's like, so yeah, just having the courage, whether that's in your career, like we're speaking to here, or in your personal life, having the courage to, like, do what you want, say what you want. Like, as long as there's a fundamental element of, like, respect, empathy, mutual admiration, like, you got to go into these things with courage. You can't be afraid to ask questions and things like that. I can't remember how many times I was like 23 years old and I was battling like the GM of a $400 million company, but it's because I knew it was right, and I battled him with respect and admiration. And at the end of the day, a lot of times I was right, and then I catapulted, and then when I made that shift to entrepreneur, I was working for the greatest mentor life could give me in my 20s. And then I made the decision, and I was making a dumb amount of money. I already shared that with you. And then, but that's not my purpose. And so that's a scary transition, to be like, I'm already at the top and I could ride this. I could put money in my 401k, like, life could be gravy, or I can transition to an entrepreneur with just a million unknowns. My girlfriend left me a week or so after. It's like, but courage is the muscle that's going to give you growth in life, and that's certainly the case in a career field, in my opinion.
You know what, you just reminded me of a quote when you were talking about courage and taking that step. You don't have to be great to start, you just have to start to be great. Now you're wearing a courage shirt in Colombia. And
I literally just realized that a courage shirt on is so
If I can turn it back the hands of time with the career, I am not bagging anyone with the career because the bills don't pay themselves. You got to do what you got to do. For me, I just wish I just would have continued adding value and not got complacent and do something to, like, a side hustle to build up for myself, because I enjoyed my career. I enjoyed it a lot. It's not my God-given gift. The career is what you're paid for. Your passion is what you're made for. I just wish I would have started sooner, not and had the courage to do it. And whatever it may be, whether it's write a book, start a YouTube channel. Well, I don't want to show my face. You cannot show your face on a YouTube channel. There's ways to do it. It's just, I wish I would have started something on the side while I had a career. That perfectly leads into the next question with, let's say you don't have the courage, or let's say you want to do something, but you don't know how to do it because it's so new. I mean, you can watch YouTube videos on how to do it, but let's say you rather cut the fat and have a mentor to guide you. We all know the benefits of having a mentor. They've been there, done that. They can save you a lot of trouble. Problem is, or if it's not a problem, a challenge is, how would one go about finding a mentor? In your opinion, Ryan, how would you recommend someone to go about getting a mentor?
Develop your empathy muscle.
Ooh. Oh, okay. All right. What about your courage muscle? Because you got to ask.
You need that too,
yeah. Yeah.
If you're leading with empathy in every relationship that you got, and you're not thinking about your own selfish nature, which I never do. I was lucky I grew up with a mother who drove empathy into me, like that was life based on my childhood. So yeah, my greatest strength is in building relationships, and it's because I genuinely care more about the other person than anything that I'm getting out of the deal, period.
Actually, that's pretty interesting, and it's really solid because, you know, with mentors, it's not about what you do for me, it's more like what I can do for you. In my case, my mentor was my former employer, and that relationship just built over time organically. Like when you water a plant, you know, it just grew over time. You know, I obviously did highlight it in my book, How to Find You Step by Step, but you don't come in with expectations. You come in with, can I work for you? Hey, can you need help with this? What can I do for you? And when you provide value for someone, in return, they will find a way to provide that value to you.
Look, man, I love this topic, and it humbles me to the core. Like, it truly humbles me to the core, because my mentors that are the reason where I am where I'm at. Like, there's no way, and it started with my mother, and there's no way that I can even be close to where I'm at without my mentors. That's how I learned, to your point, right? Like, I know a guy, bang. Like, I know a guy who knows a guy, bang. Like, I'm not out here researching stuff on the internet, spending 4 hours. Every time I do that, I waste an hour. I tried to add music to Clubhouse. We're in Clubhouse now. Mm-hmm. I tried to add music into Clubhouse earlier. I spent over an hour trying to do that, and I wasn't even successful. And you know what my gut told me? Call Nick. Mm-hmm. You know what happened? I said, no, I'm gonna figure it out myself. Hour later, couldn't figure it out. Hit Nick up after Clubhouse. Said, yeah, bro, just do this. My whole life, honestly, is created because of mentors. I'm like almost like an image of my mentors, mm-hmm. and it's not one mentor. I've got 10 people that I could call on a dime, and they'll give me the most genuine, authentic love that I could ever receive. And I've got another 40 people who would help me at the drop of a hat in certain subjects. There is no like crazy formula, or you got to connect with more people. Like, no, it's just a process of leading with empathy in your relationship.
I think it's well said. I can't add any more to it. I gave you my desert version because I'm in Palm Springs of it. You gave me the Columbia on the beach, crystal clear water version of it. So I can't top it.
Yeah, I mean, a big part of empathy is sincerity, right? Yeah. People can tell if you're trying or if you have hidden expectations. That's why I say you really got to build empathy, like genuinely, right? And empathy is like Nick, for an example. He always said he's not good with empathy.
I think he is. But
he's actively worked on empathy. Like, he's read books about how to become more empathetic. Like, he's learned from me. Like, that's my skill set. We learned from each other, but he learned from me. He has a girlfriend that's highly empathetic. Like, he's building his environment around it because he recognized it as a weakness.
Right.
It's got to your point. Like, it's got to be sincere. Like,
for sure.
People notice it. When you have unset expectations, that's a recipe for disaster.
I always love asking this question. How do you find work-life balance? Because it's not a one answer fits all. I love taking tidbits from here and there and trying to apply it to, your life. So how does Ryan Mannion find work-life balance?
I love how you introduced that question, because still to this day, like, all my success in my sales career, for the most part, other than like character, which is important, courage is important, yep. But it's hard work. And I've outworked the next person. I've out strategized. Like, you got to have all these. You can't just work hard. You got to have all these elements. And I didn't have much of a work-life balance for 5 years. Like, I burnt out. Tried to go on vacation. Yeah. Still burnt out. So there have been times in my life where I didn't have a work-life balance. And even as an entrepreneur, I just asked this serial entrepreneur yesterday. I said, Gary, he has a library with 57,000 books in his personal library. He's got 36 rooms that have individual libraries in his house. And he has 37 rooms in his house. There's only one room that doesn't have a custom genre of library. He studies entrepreneurs. And I said, Gary, do you have to outwork everybody to be successful? Like, because I like lifestyle. Like, I'm waking up in Colombia. I'm walking on the beach. I'm doing my Clubhouse episode with my towel on after I got in the water. Like, I'm doing all these different things, right? After work, like, I want to go hang out with with these people. So I was getting a little maybe insecure about it all. And he said, Ryan, like, yeah, a lot of entrepreneurs, like you're working weekends and nights, and I do a lot of that, but a lot don't. And a lot don't. And it is possible to have a work-life balance. And a lot of entrepreneurs say to me, like, look, man, I'm miserable. Like, enjoy the journey. I got with a life coach like a year ago, and I was so anxious to just like grow this company, sell it to the right collaboration partner, and scale the business to impact 1 million people.
Right.
And he said, calm down. Like, you don't need to do this in 18 months. You know, like that was my plan. I want to make 1 million, I want to make X million by the age of 30. And I want to do it in a way where we're collaborating and making a bigger impact. And he's like, and then what are you going to do? I was like, I really don't know. And then he was just telling me about all of his clients that are these rich and miserable people who blew their 20s and 30s away because they worked so hard and now they don't even know how to find balance. I've had the right environment to help me realize the salt of life. It's not in working a million hours a week. It's in a balance. And the hard thing is being able to find that balance. You have seasons where you have to work far harder than other seasons. And
for sure.
Or seasons where you can work less and vacation a little bit. You have to feel out that balance based on what time it is for you in your career and like what it is you want to do, and it'll always be a balance. Now I'm happier than I've ever been. I'm working on something that is completely purposeful, and I have a work-life balance that I really prioritize. Like I'm prioritizing my mental health in the last few years more than I ever had. And business is good, right? Like my advisor tells me all the time, he's like, it's a long game and keep punching. And so I wake up, I got my habits that I know make me happy for mental health. I work in chunks of time because I know like when my energy is high, I can be uber productive. So I work when my energy is high. And then I try and balance out life with some fun in my relationships and things like that. Books put me in a different headspace, which, if I'm burnt out after a day, I throw a good book on, throw my hat on backwards, and I go chill out with the homies after listening to it because it puts me in a different headspace. But work-life balance is huge, but there's also seasons to everything. But I will always be a work-life balance guy. Another point, I feel like I'm talking a lot, but another point that's important. When you think big, you don't need necessarily to work as big. We have a Q1 goal where our thinking drove a revenue marker that's 3x what we did last quarter.
Nice. Okay.
Well, we haven't hit it yet, but I have confidence we will. But when you start to think in a certain way, like when you start to think from a maybe more courageous place or have more faith in yourself, you just expand yourself to new possibilities. It's like, okay, we can't get to this revenue goal by doing business as usual. How do we get here? And it's not like you just got to work more. Right. But if you have a healthy lifestyle and you can think bigger, then you can create exactly what you did if you work really hard. I mean, look, I'm a student of life. I'm a student of the game. I don't have the answers, but I am so big on work-life balance.
It's those questions, in my opinion, there's not a right answer. It's just what's pretty much best for you. You said that was Gary Vee who said you have to outwork everyone to be successful as an entrepreneur. Was that Gary Vee?
That's what I always thought because that's what I always did, A lot of entrepreneurs say that, but then you got the other guys who are saying, enjoy the journey, like enjoy the experience. Right. And if your relationship, like if your husband or wife is like the most important person in your life outside of you, or maybe it's your kids, you think they're going to respect someone who just works 24/7 and doesn't give them like mental energy or physical energy? Nah, and that person or those people are so impactful for your life. So you see all these guys working so hard. Oh yeah, I lost my wife, third wife, whatever, third husband. No, it's sad, right? Because it's sad because it's so relatable.
Even though I only have my kids half the time, from Thursdays till Mondays, I try to go ham Monday through Thursday with what I do. And then even over the weekend, sometimes I notice, okay, I gotta finish this YouTube video because I got this interview and I don't wanna be backlogged with this, and I gotta send an email newsletter out with that, gotta post for content with here, gotta do this comic book video for there, potentially another freelance work there. And then the moment my daughter hits me with, Daddy, play with me. All right. damn, like flashback, like, you know, give her a childhood to remember, bro, you know? So
Yeah.
put this aside, play with her. She's going to go down for the count in a little bit. And guess what? I can put a couple hours in while they're asleep. So there's no right answer. It's just, you know, you do too much over here, you're going to not be fulfilled over there. You do too much over here, you're going to miss something over there. It's just what works with you.
Yeah, one thing I've realized to be really fun that I work on is just my energy, right? So if I have healthy habits that give me a lot of energy, I can provide. Oh, no. Talking about this, man.
Oh, okay.
Then I can provide, right? If I have energy, which means I got good sleep, I got sunlight, I got water, and I eat on a routine schedule and I exercise a little bit, and your output is so great that you could still grind and you could still give those people time. And I also balance my energy. Like I said, when I have moments of high energy and inspiration, I'm working. You know, when my energy is tailoring or whatever, I'm calling that buddy that I haven't spoken with in a couple of weeks that I need to connect with, you know. Trying to have as much energy as you possibly can, but then also realizing what energy level you have and making sure that's balanced out towards all these different aspects of life that are important to you. Yeah. Thanks.
No, I appreciate the knowledge you drop. And thank you guys for watching. You found value in this conversation. Don't forget to drop us a like, hit the subscribe or the bell notification, and thank you for watching your come up. Till next time.
All right. Thanks so much, man. It's always a pleasure.